Big boy on the rails. Hello everybody, and welcome back to Old, Frail, and Decrepit. This time we're going to have a look at Gauge Boxcars. I chose boxcars only because I seem to have the widest variety of sizes of boxcars. You know, when I first started into this hobby back in 2013, the only thing I had was my Marks 6-inch tin set. So obviously, my idea of O-gauge was 6-inch tin cars. So since then, I've gone through and purchased different things, and lo and behold, there's a lot of different sizes and a lot of different things. Like, people will talk about scale and semi-scale. Marks even had what they called Marks scale, which I have a piece of that on the track here today too. And at the end, after having a look at each of the sizes, we're going to see if we can couple them all up and pull them with one locomotive. Don't know if it's going to work, but we'll give it a try. Oh, and at the end too, we're going to have a look at a little project that I worked on. And we'll see if see what you can do with a cheap locomotive. Figure this is a good place to start our comparison. In the inside track, what you have is a Weaver scale model of a Wisconsin Central boxcar. And in the front, you have a pre-war Marks 8-wheeled 6-inch boxcar. Now, they run on exactly the same track, but look at the difference. Now, I will say this, the Marks has a little bit of an advantage because that door opens a little easier than that Weaver model. Of course, I haven't played much with the Weaver model to try and make it better, but that gives you a little idea of just how wide you can go. Now, next in line, what I've done here on this outside rail, I've put the smallest. So we start with this Mark 6-inch. I don't have any of the Joy line because they've had a 4-inch. See, so use your imagination. Just put a 4-inch Joy line Hobo's Rest boxcar right there. Then, of course, the Mark 6-inch. Then you get into the Lionel pre-war. And those, to me, those are really nice. I like those. And the Baby Ruth, also pre-war. That's a good looking one too. Then you get into your post-war Lionel. And here's a Marks. And this is one of their bigger ones, or one of their standard plastic ones. Now this is what's called Marks scale. Marks called it Marks scale. And you'll notice it's got 3/16-inch wheels. So the wheels are a little, you see the size of the trucks on this one. These are a little smaller. They look a little more proportional to the boxcar. This, I have no idea what this is. It's got Lionel trucks on it, but the boxcar itself looks like a kit. And the paper side on it, it's all printed. Whoever had it took some time and painted it up nice. It's a good little boxcar, but no idea who made that kit. Behind that, we have the Marks Deluxe plastic. And let's see if there's anything in this boxcar. Oh yes. My grandson calls him King Frog. So, you've got, that's the largest of the Marks boxcars. Then we get into a K-line, just a little bit bigger than the Marks. And then you get a little bigger with this Burlington Northern, which is a Lionel, an MPC era. Then we jump back to the pre-war era. This is a 1719. It's actually based on an Ives 1709. They also make a 2719, which I've yet to lay hands on. Of course, I haven't laid hands on the Ives one either. But I've got actually two of those at the present. But I'd like to get the other two available, the 2719 and the 1709 Ives. Then we've got this one here, which is from Menards, which I just love that Burlington Northern Santa Fe paint scheme. And here we are back here at the Wisconsin Central. So I'm not going to have you watch my mistakes and foibles as I try to hook these all together to make one long train. But win or lose, I'll be back and show you how I've managed to get them together. All right, I think we're ready. Now I got this idea for this video and for this little demonstration from the youngest of my grandsons, who was here a few weeks ago. I was running some Mark's scale items, and he wanted to stick a couple of 6-inch tins in there, which of course we did. Well, after all, grandson wants it, you got to do it, right? So I got to thinking, just how many different ones can I pull with a train? Well, we're just about to find out. Oh, of course, you've also got to make sure they're all hooked together. I think that was my error. Here we go. Give it another try. We're pulling this with a Lionel 2026. Then, of course, just to fill it all out, I put a Hafner caboose on the end of it. Now I'm going to show you how that I managed to get these to all hooked up. Because you've got a combination of hook and latch, box couplers, knuckle couplers from Menards and Lionel and weaver, and then you've got Marks with their tilt couplers and their tab and slot, and you even have a makeshift coupler out back there on the Hafner caboose. So I'm going to show you how I managed to do this. Between the Marks and the late model tilt coupler, I made this little adapter. I took a broken Lionel coupler and a brand new tab and slot Marks coupler, glued them together, and they work great. Now, that is a little long. If I make another one, I'm going to make it a little shorter. But the bigger challenge was, how do we go from a Lionel knuckle coupler to a hook and latch coupler, or rather a box coupler, which mates up with the hook and latch. What I did here was I had a part of a knuckle coupler, put a Christmas ornament hook through it, and then hooked it into the back of the box. Now this is what I used as this train went around the track. So it did hold. Now I wouldn't suggest that if I were going to do that long term. I'd probably come up with some other adapter, but it worked for my purposes today. So now you know the secrets that we put this train together. Here's my Lionel 8142 Chesapeake in Ohio. Picked it up in a train show last weekend and saw it there on the table and asked the man, I says, well, does the thing run? He says, I'll tell you what the used car salesman tells me. He says, you got 30 feet or 30 seconds, whichever comes first, that's your guarantee. Well, I got it home and it did run, but it was missing one of the marker lights. Both of the connections for the Sound of Steam tender were gone, both from the tender and from the locomotive. And the foam underneath the soundboard in the tender was completely disintegrated. So put a piece of cardboard in that and made up my own little connections. I wouldn't suggest this. I'd try to find something a little lighter, but that happened to be what I had on hand. So even though this locomotive looks a little rough, it does run very nice, as you'll see in the video. Now, when I picked that up, the only reason I bought it was I thought, for $17.50, I don't think I could find me another locomotive. Got to looking though, and the casting is almost exactly the same as the Lionel 2026. So this is an MPC era locomotive. Runs real nice, as you'll see in the video. But don't pass up, as Ben from Ben's Train says, don't overlook the junk. Here's a case where I got myself a real nice locomotive. It's already pre-weathered. I don't even think I'm going to repaint this one. But got it all for $17.50 and about 45 minutes worth of work.